Welcome to the Penguin Podcast, brought to you by Penguin Facilities Management.
Mel, can you introduce yourself to everybody, please?
So I'm Mel. I'm the owner of FMAW Associates Limited, which is a consultancy to help the FM industry.
You live in one of the most beautiful parts of Yorkshire. We met a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
December time. We met in Manchester, and then we went and had coffee in Bridlington by the harbour. So we had some really great conversations, which is the reason that we're here today. So going to ask you lots of questions, and I'm sure you're going to give me lots of honest answers. So let's go for it. So you own a consultancy business.
I do, yes.
That is focused on making FM compliance and performance practical rather than theoretical. Does that pretty much sum up what you do?
Yeah, taking it off the shelf.
Absolutely. So why is it then, so straight to the point, why do so many organisations still struggle to translate compliance requirements to day-to-day practice?
They forget they need to do it because they're so busy doing the day-to-day.
Yep.
Or it's turned into a tick box exercise because people don't understand why you need to do it. Prime example, 2 bakeries recently lost their 5-star rating because they forgot to do the compliance. They were too busy on making the cakes and selling them, so they lost their status because they couldn't prove that they were compliant to the legislation every single day.
Yeah, which is heard of so many times.
Every day.
Yeah. So you work along a broad range of different service lines. So compliance, performance checks, to strategic leadership, and productivity reviews.
Yes.
So for organisations without that deep in-house experience of FM, of facilities management, where do you typically see the biggest gaps on compliance, operations and strategy?
Sometimes managers are brought into the FM industry because they're managers, so they don't understand the nuances of why we'd have to have the compliance or the performances. Sometimes the contract's changed and nobody's told the people on the ground that the contract's changed, so they've been in the same building for 20 years and they just carry on doing what they did because they just wear a different T-shirt.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of reasons why it fails.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just they don't have enough bodies to do it because the margin is so small.
Yeah.
And they're so busy fighting the day-to-day fires.
Yeah, which goes on to my next. You work in public and private sector.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to be careful what we say here.
Yes.
Because
no names.
No names. What are the differences have you found that these organisations have in approaching the likes of risk, accountability and performance? Instantly one comes straight into my head, but I'll let you you go first.
I think with the civil servants and the NHS, if we start with them, if they've got an outsourced model, the people managing the outsourced model have probably never run FM contracts. So they've not done the day-to-day. So they don't understand their ask and they don't understand why sometimes it's a no. And also with that, sometimes it's down to money. Sometimes it's down to the loudest voice in the room. Depending on who is the loudest voice in the room is depending on how the performance is skewed towards.
Yeah. And it goes back to that straight away was in my head, his budget,
Sometimes.
Is makes some big difference.
In the private sector, it's normally around money, the margin. But it is changing. It is coming round to being open, honest and ethical and actually treating human beings like human beings. So it is changing. It's very slow, but it's starting to change round.
So compliance never stops. Legislation moves. Standards evolve. What are some of the most misunderstood aspects of compliance that you regularly see that surprises organisations during your audits and your inspections?
Please stop me if I go on too long about this. This is my favourite topic. People think that compliance is the inspection. So the inspection happens and everybody assumes they're compliant. They don't read the report. They don't look if there's any actions outstanding. They don't follow up on the actions. You don't always need to do the actions, but you need to acknowledge them and mitigate them to the reason why you haven't. All legislation has built-in flexibility for age of building, fabric of the building. But people think that once the lift inspector's been out and given you the piece of paper, you're compliant, and you may not be.
Which, as an FM, we see this very regularly. That the client will just believe because an engineer has been that they are automatically compliant, but there might be remedials, there might be work that needs to be done after that visit, to the point where we change some of our processes that we now draft everything, so it is classed as a draft. If there is non-conformity, we actually will say to them that you are non-conformant, and give a discharge of duty if they don't sign off that remedial work, which it used to be far and few between, but we are now seeing that this is a regular occurrence,
And that's
within the
good
industry.
It's such good practice. I mean, one of the ones that I find the most is changing batteries in fire alarm panels.
Yeah. And that's one of the ones that straight away is in my head. They just remain non-compliant. So yeah, it's hopefully things are improving. But it is, obviously something that is still a problem. People thinking they're compliant when actually, they're not.
And it goes back to the first question you asked me. Sometimes the person reading the report doesn't have the depth of knowledge to understand what the actions need to happen and what don't need to happen. They don't understand what they are.
Yeah.
So they just file it.
Yeah, absolutely. So performance audits uncovers lots of hidden issues. Before they become a crisis, what patterns do you see coming up again and again when you're doing your audits?
There's a couple of different things. One, if the contract's changed, sometimes people haven't told the people on the ground, again, that it's changed, that they carry on doing what they've done forever. The person training new hires have been there for 20 odd years and probably haven't had any refresher training for a long time. There's a thought theory that if you've got 12 steps, by the time it gets trained, every time you lose a step. So if they've been doing it for 20 years, they might...
It's like Chinese whispers.
It could become a 5-step process rather than a 12-step process.
Yeah.
And then it's doing what I call Steve from finance asks you to do in the corridor. So you lose time doing the outer scope things and you don't have time to do the in-scope stuff.
Yeah, no.
Because you like Steve.
So what practical steps can teams take to help them?
Make sure everybody understands the contract. One of the buildings I was in years and years ago, one of the tasks was to change toilet rolls when they ran out. So they would go and they would change the toilet roll within 10 minutes. And at the end of every month, they would close all their tasks down. They didn't realise that within 24 hours, that task had a £1.74 charge on it because it hadn't been closed. So if it was done on the first of the month, they lost so much in penalties by the end of the month.
Wow.
But they'd done the toilet roll within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But nobody had ever sat them down and explained what the contract was.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the things happen, is just not everybody turning up knowing what the contract actually is.
It's
and
understanding what needs to be done and what the consequences could be.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Engineers get it better now that they're on PDAs and they're prompted to close each job.
Yeah.
So within engineering, that's not so much happening.
Yeah, and we're seeing it in cleaning as well. We're just about to mobilise a contract, and we know there's hours to be saved. So we're using technology to get that data, and actually be able to sit down and say, right, where can we save the hours? Mm-hmm. Where can we actually improve the levels of cleaning in other parts of the building? because we're using too many hours here and there and everywhere. You can physically see it when you're on site and you're looking at it, but let's use data and use the technology that we
Yes.
have to give us them insights.
Footfall tracking is really, really good within cleaning. You're going to speak to my heart now. Cleaning is my heart. And you do have toilets that are not used.
Yeah.
And you have toilets that are used a lot. And there's no point cleaning the toilet next to the exit door at 4:30 when everybody leaves at 5.
Yeah.
Because that's the last thing you do before you leave a building is go for a wee.
Yeah, exactly. So you help teams prepare for inspection readiness.
Yes.
How can organisations balance taking risk based approach rather than purely ticking boxes?
If you're an ethical company and you know what you're supposed to be doing, then your compliance and your inspection happens naturally. If you look at schools, for example, if you go into a school that's panicking about Ofsted tomorrow and then you go into a school that doesn't panic about Ofsted tomorrow, all of the compliance and everything has been built into the day-to-day tasks.
Yeah.
So providing you're doing it correctly, ethically, and as a nice person, then compliance just happens and you just record what you're doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be onerous.
Do you think it's because sometimes businesses put themselves under unnecessary pressure?
Yes.
And that can make a difference?
Yes. More times than I care to remember when I go into contracts is you find the engineer up a ladder leaning, 6 foot to the left because they don't feel they can come down because the task needs to happen rather than the safety needs to happen.
Yeah.
And that it's, again, the ship is slowly turning, but we are getting there to understand.
We need to be the voices of that. That's
yes.
end of the days.
You need to empower everybody to feel safe at work and have the ability to go, I'm not doing this task correctly, come down.
Yeah. So one of your core services, your expertise is strategic management support. When you step into an organisation in an interim leadership role, where are the three... No, start again. When you step into an interim role as that leader, what are 3 indicators that you use to assess the operational risk and the health?
If they've got a receptionist, I sit in reception for 15 minutes and watch how people interact with the receptionist as they walk in a building or they walk out of a building. I will go and sit in the tea point, if there is a central tea point, and see how people talk to each other. And otherwise, I walk the building. If it's a hospital, I'll walk the hospital various times of the day and night and see and say hello to people who are wearing the same company t-shirt that I'm wearing. And that can give you really good indication of how well a contract's working or how broken a contract is.
Yeah.
Just by the staff interaction.
And that's what I was about to say. Just by interaction, you'll be able to see what culture
yes
is
absolutely
is there. Do they want to interact with you? Do they want to offload?
Yes.
Do they want to tell you how good?
Yes. I went into one contractor as quite a senior person, and I say hello. I'm Welsh. With Scottish parents, I say hello to everybody and anybody that I pass. It took 10 days for the porters and the cleaners to answer me back because they thought I was trying to catch them out by saying hello to them because they'd never had it before.
Yeah.
And the only time
that's sad.
Anybody above their supervisor ever spoke to them, it was to tell them off.
Yeah. No, that's not healthy.
It's not. So I watch the interactions of the staff to see how broken the contract is.
Yeah. No, that's insightful. That's good. So transitions like mobilisation, demobilisation and restructuring are high risk in FM.
Mm-hmm.
What are the common pitfalls that you see in organisations? What kind of pitfalls do you see, and how can strategic leadership help in FM?
The main problem that happens is they don't engage with the correct technical knowledge early enough whether it's soft services or hard services.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking about money, and if it's a brand new contract, the soft services or the hard services manager may not be employed till 4 weeks before go live. They need to be in so much further forward than that.
Yeah.
They need to be part of it. They need to be part of the tendering process. You need to have technically experienced people in the room from start to finish, and then them not walk out the door on day 2. They've got to stay 3 to 6 months post go live.
Yeah.
To get a really, really good transition.
Yeah. I go back a couple of years ago, and I was on a panel at the IFM event, and there was Little Old Penguin, and then there was some of the big corporate companies, and us as a business, we're very tech led, and a lot of investment is getting made into raising the bar of FM. But one of the answers that came from one of these, international organisation was there isn't a budget
No.
for tech. There isn't a budget. The margins are so small. So that's where the high risk is, isn't it?
Yes.
Is not putting something in the value, putting a value into the contract at the start.
But also simple things. One of the things I was part of, again, years ago, was a building of a special needs school. So they were taking a building, gutting it, and then building it for a special needs school. They didn't bring me in as the cleaning expert until 4 weeks before and they only brought me in to do the sparkle clean. And we discovered there wasn't a cleaner's cupboard with a sink that the cleaners could empty their mop bucket in. And one of the suggestions was...
architect.
One of the suggestions was, shall we put a shed outside and the cleaner can do it in there? But because they'd had the school in there, they had, all of these people that knew what they were doing about the people that were going to be using the building and the architect, but nobody had actually thought about the cleaner.
Yeah.
So you need them from the beginning.
Yeah.
They need to be in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one's a very penguin question because it just resonates with a lot of our values. Mm-hmm. So inherently, FM is a mix of external delivery and internal. Sorry, start again. FM is inherently a mix of internal delivery, and external support. So how can we get FM teams to work better with external subcontractors, partners, so that we can preserve the quality, the accountability, and the transparency?
Everybody in the room has a voice and a reason to be in the room. And if everybody stopped thinking of us and them,
me,
and just think about, or me, yes, or me, and become, we're all here to deliver this, then it works. If you keep it as an internal, external, us and them, then it won't work.
Yeah.
Because everybody needs to be in the room. That's why they're in the room.
Yeah, I totally agree. So we were talking earlier, and we were talking about collaboration. And so many people are afraid to collaborate. Mm-hmm. But when you've got, for example, an FM company that works with external organisations and it's delivered from internal, there's got to be that collaboration. There's got to be that cohesion. How do we improve that collaboration? Yes, getting them all in the one room. Big believer in that. We've just mobilised the contract early January. We've got 5-6 service partners, and instead of speaking to them all individually on mobilisation, they're all competitors. Mm-hmm. We brought them into one room, and there was a level of uneasiness.
Yes.
Yeah, because a lot of people are not used to collaborating to such of that extent. So how do we improve that collaboration?
For me, it's treating everybody as a human being. And everybody's got a different job title. They're not more important than somebody else just because their job title.
Yeah.
For me, it's that simple.
Yeah. We're all there for the same results.
Yes. You're all there for the benefit of the contract.
Yeah.
and you want it to work. So why would you hinder somebody who sits across the room in a different T-shirt from you?
Yeah. So moving on, so with organisations under compliance, performance stress that we've spoke about before, often before they fail, what considerations should be made by an FM consultant?
Everybody who walks an FM contract has a gut feeling about whether it's working or not. The problem you've got is the board or the highest level only sees 5 bullet points about your contract.
Yeah.
So you may not be getting the buy-in for the help that you need because they don't hear it high enough up. But if you bring me in, or people like me, we can help you before you fall over and lessen the stress. It's so easy to lessen the stress.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Right, so here's a controversial one for Mel, because we've had conversations, but obviously some of your posts on LinkedIn. So AI, yeah, not just AI, but digital tools. Tech is accelerating in FM in a huge way. I'm a massive penguin and a massive ambassador of tech. We're doing some really, really exciting, interesting things. But some solutions don't always understand context. How should organizations approach tech integration into the way that it improves outcomes rather than just adding complexity?
Carefully, considered, make sure the right people are in the room. If you're just going to transfer your CAFM data into AI to give you a PPM schedule, you already had that in your CAFM data. And if your CAFM data isn't correct and you put it in AI, it's not going to be correct. And not all technology helps. You know, there's a lot of technology like robot vacuum cleaners and floor cleaners and stuff. There are spaces you can't put them in because they record. So you can't put them in prisons because you can't have the Wi-Fi network because, you know, it will become an outside Wi-Fi network very, very quickly. You can't put them on military bases. You can't put them in schools. You know, there's a lot of places where everybody says, put a robot vacuum cleaner. So you need to consider what you're doing and why you're doing it to make sure it helps.
Yeah.
You think I mean, that's why you started this question. You think I'm against AI. I'm not. I just think it needs to be very, very carefully considered.
Yeah.
The people who are inputting the information and exporting the information need to understand what they're putting in and what they're taking out to make sure it is correct and is going to give you benefit.
Yeah.
You know, bad data is bad data no matter where it comes from.
Absolutely, whether it's from humans or AIs,
exactly.
bad data.
And if data's misread, it's not going to give you the correct picture.
Yeah.
So I am a firm believer in ChatGPT. I use it all the time in my personal life. It wrote me my packing list to go to Sicily in October. But you just have to be considered and careful about where you use it and why you use it.
Yeah.
We talked about footfall before. The counters that you can put into toilets to understand how many people come in and out are a brilliant piece of tech and, you know, can work really, really well. But you wouldn't put that in a building with 3 people.
No.
It would be pointless.
Everything has a place.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
everything has a place. FM workforce is it's the core of any contract.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also usually undervalued or misunderstood, especially in some positions.
Yes.
Which is it still goes on today. Somebody said to me that, you know, cleaning is just a perception, which I took as a massive, you know, insult. And actually, I felt sorry then for, you know, for that cleaning team. So how do we improve this, and what skill sets do you find are lacking in FM teams today, and how should organisations invest in people, not just process?
If we could get rid of the word just before job titles would be great. Just a cleaner, just an engineer, just an electrician. Drives me insane. Most contracts are bought for the engineers and the cleaners and the porters. You know, everybody that sits in a suit in a desk is a consequence of the contract that they've actually bought. I think we need to stop making it sound like an educated team of people. You know, if you look at basic, if you clean a toilet correctly, there's 52 actions you need to happen in order to clean a toilet. So there's lots of things you need to remember as a cleaner. You know, main ones, don't mix the chemicals and sniff it. But, you know, and engineers are the same. You know, if you look at most of the hard services, they have 2 to 3 year apprenticeships before they, you know, they get their book or their stamp or whatever. And I think we need to stop looking as FM as being the consequence of. COVID proved that without cleaners and engineers, hospitals didn't stay open.
Absolutely.
Didn't keep the lights on.
Yeah.
You know, schools are the same. You know, there's a lot of stuff that happens, and if it didn't happen, the buildings wouldn't be open.
Yeah.
So I think we need to remove the stigma of being a cleaner or an engineer and remove the word just.
Yeah.
That would be great.
No, great answer. So, education career pathways in FM remain limited. On many of these podcasts that we've done, is a lot of people just fall into FM.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a subject matter. That, you know, I didn't know what FM was when I was at school or college, or university. It was just not a thing that was spoke about. So what needs to change in schools and universities, and even industry bodies to create more awareness and make FM. I'll start again. What needs to change in schools, universities and industry bodies, to create more awareness and attract people as a career of choice to FM?
I think there's a responsibility on us to go to career days, to go to open days, to tell people about us. I think schools, again, we all have that favourite caretaker that was in our primary school or junior school, but he was, again, treated as not as important as the teachers or anybody else. But I think the FM industry needs to be louder and turn up more for career days, because there is lots of qualifications in FM.
Yeah.
Lots. You know, and in the cleaning world, there has been a huge step forward in apprenticeships and stuff. FM within the last 2 years, I think, is now a known apprentice. So you can do apprenticeships in facilities management.
Yep.
You can do NVQs in it. You know, you don't have to be technically specialist like catering or hard services. So I think FM needs to go into career days. We need to step up. We need to do it. And we need to tell our children what we actually do. My children are older now. My youngest is 23. But when I was doing it when they were younger, they had no idea what I did for a living, apart from when I did the catering, Mummy went to work and changed clothes. That was it.
Yeah.
So I think we need to be better at telling people what we do and why we do it.
Should I tell you what my 13-year-old tells me what I do for a job?
Yeah.
I chat shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, you know, obviously from, you know, my eldest, you know exactly what I do. He wants to be an engineer, whereas my youngest, he just doesn't have a clue. He just sees me sitting on Teams. He sees me talking on the phone. And it's that level, you know. Do we start educating them at, you know, that when they first go into senior school, and actually getting them to understand what FM is about?
My children, well, my adult children now think I just keep buildings open.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they think I'm a doorman or something else, but I just keep buildings open.
Yeah.
But I think it's us. We need to go back and we need to give the time to career days in schools and, you know, things like that, and tell people about our fabulous world that we all work in, because it's amazing.
It is, absolutely. So, Mel, I would describe you, in knowing you in a very short time, as authentic. Yeah, what you see is what you get. Your approach that you have is it emphasises about being practical,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always honest, and that's what I see we get from Mel. So, our industry, there's such a mixed reputation when it comes to transparency, and there is a stigma, and it continues to be there, that the FM world is not as transparent as it really should be.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the key elements that you would say that help build trust with clients and key stakeholders?
Be authentic. Don't lie. And just do what you say you're going to do, and don't say things that you've no intention of doing to start off with. Just be truthful. If the room's dirty, the room's dirty. Don't lie about it. We're getting there. So earlier on, the ship is moving. We're getting to the place where everybody can be honest and truthful. It's going to take a long time though.
Yeah, which is it is a sad statement to say that our
Yeah.
wonderful industry isn't as transparent as it could be, whether that's, as you say, is in probably hiding from the truth.
I don't think it's so much hiding from the truth. I think it's more around not willing to acknowledge that they may not be performing as well as what the contract says.
Yeah.
So I think there's an element of not wanting to admit that it didn't go right, rather than wanting to lie, or that's what I choose to believe anyway.
Yeah.
About
So
our
it can
industry.
be in standards, it can be in financial,
Mm-hmm.
because we see that as well. So yeah, it is. It's an area where we need to see improvement.
Yes, but I think we are improving.
So finally, leadership in FM is evolving massively.
Yes.
As a business, we're working with an outside company to deliver leadership workshops, because we want to close that gap between us and, I hate to say it, them.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to get a greater understanding of what a leader should be, and we believe it will help grow our team as well. So what one piece of advice would you give FM leaders right now about how to lead through complexity, not just compliance?
Try to listen to everybody that's delivering your contract for you. They deliver your contract 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So they're the ones that are picking up the tools. So try and listen to them about their hardships or their wins, because that's how you can understand a contract. One of the things I think FM has been bad at is promoting time served people without giving them the skills and training how to be a manager or how to be a leader. It seems to be the one job in FM you get just because you've walked through the door the longest, and we forget that it's a job, so we need to teach people skills. But just listen to everybody. Everybody has an opinion on your contract that works there, and they will be able to help you fix it or deliver better, because that's what they do every day.
No, totally agree. So we look forward to seeing you at the workplace event in April.
Yeah.
You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there. We have a stand.
And what does that look like?
We are going to run a resilience exercise. So one of the things we do is resilience exercises for companies. We're going to run one live at the event and ask people to answer questions. We're going to run a different one on the stall. We don't want to know your name. We don't want to know where you work. We just want to know your job title. If you come and talk to us, you have a chance of winning a hamper. And then otherwise, you just get to talk to lovely people.
No, great. Well, I look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you.
I will put my name down.
You have to physically turn up. There's no pre-ordering.
No, I'll be there. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been absolutely great, and I hope everybody enjoys the insights of what you've had to offer.
I hope so. But no, it's been lovely. Thank you for my first podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.